All right, awesome. Awesome. Thanks everyone for joining us today. We're going to be talking about how to make a newsletter inside of Command. This does have a lot of steps to it, and I'm going to try to go through it as slow as possible. I know I just did it a little while ago and it took me about 45 minutes, and that was almost all the way customized. The only things I didn't add in were like my local vendor information and things like that. But I'm going to show you the example of what I made. So I sent myself the test email of it. And so it's got some images in here. It's got, at the beginning, it's talking about how it's like almost spring. I've got a link to my Pinterest board, like full of spring activities that are local, recipes, like anything you can think of, I threw on there. Some helpful tips around tax day coming up. This is actually pulled out of one of the other newsletters. So I kind of took a couple different newsletters and mushed them together. I'm going to show you guys how I did that. And then it talks about the new magazine that's out that we have access to. And they can just click a button and read through it. So I'm going to show you guys how I put this together. And we'll go from there. So if you guys do have questions, feel free to stop me and we will go from there. Okay, step one, make sure you're in Command and make sure your marketing profile is filled out. I cannot stress how important it is, especially for the newsletter template. So when it comes to the newsletter, if you don't have like your license number in your marketing profile, make sure it's there. I didn't have it in there the other day and it was frustrating that it wouldn't let me save it because it didn't have that. And I was like, forget it. So I went back through my marketing profile and made sure that everything was filled in that needed to be filled in. And if you need that, click under your name, go into settings, and then on the next page, it's going to be under the connect settings on the left-hand side and your marketing profile right there. So I just had to make sure I went in there and made sure all my information was filled out. But first, what I always recommend, what I'm going to recommend for this is make sure you have all of your information pulled up. So in the magazine, you can put everything from like statistics, you can put local vendor information, your information, obviously. So make sure you have those kinds of things pre-pulled up. So like if you've got a spreadsheet of like your favorite vendors and their contact information, have that ready, up and going. As you can see, I have tons of tabs open. So I've got everything from where I can get free stock images. I've got my Pinterest pulled up so I can share my board, and I've got my January stats. February's not here yet, but as soon as they are, then you guys can use those. And I'll show you how I changed information around in everything that I did. But first, I'm going to need my newsletter. So we're going to go into designs first, which is the third icon from the bottom. It looks like a little paintbrush. And so at this front page, you can see these are all of my designs I've already made so far. So you can see I did make my magazine and 2 different newsletter versions. I just pressed saved a bunch of times, so it just made 2 versions. No big deal there. So it's just loading. I might refresh and see if it'll load all the way. It was being nice to me just a few minutes ago, so we'll see if it's going to play nice. It's thinking about it. If you haven't been in designs before, sometimes it can take a minute for it to decide what it's going to do. Move up here. Let's try clicking back into it again. Maybe. I think Command's just having a moment. That's okay. I'll try this other tab. This is why I had multiple Command tabs open. And we'll see if this one will play nice. That one did. Okay, perfect. So to get your newsletter templates, you're going to press the blue button in the corner, and we're going to click the very first option, email. And so inside of here, you're going to see that there are modern newsletters, classic newsletters, approachable, and then there's all these other ones with like different topics. And so I took the specific like tax day topic one and took the verbiage from that and put it into one of the actual like newsletter templates. So that way, and I figured out which one I liked. So I just opened each one of these individually until I found the one that I preferred. And I think I just ended up using this very first one. It was a clean look, so I just decided to go with that one. And so when it first loads, it looks like there's nothing in here. It's just gibberish, which is why I was like, okay, I need to figure out, because you got to figure out what are you going to put in here. And so for me, I was like, okay, so we need some images. I want to throw some cool stuff in there. And things where it says like market center image, and then in the very bottom of the newsletter where it shows like agent image, first, last name, all that stuff, it's going to get pre-populated. And if you want to see what does, in the top right, you can click under options and get a preview of what it should look like. And you can see the logo pulled through. And then in the bottom, my photo and my information pulled through. It's very, very important that your marketing profile is filled out, but we're going to go through and go ahead and start customizing this guy. So if you need a resource for free stock images, one of my favorites is called Unsplash. And I have it pulled up here. It's just unsplash.com. And so you can search any kind of topic. You can literally look up like Seattle and you'll get Seattle images. I just looked up Tacoma and it gave me some Tacoma images. Or if you want to just real estate, you can use real estate. So I'm going to look up Tacoma since that's where I am. And I'm just going to find an image I want at the top of my newsletter. You can see there's a variety of stuff in here. So you can find almost anything you want. Let's see. So I used, so I'm going to use the mountain. That's what I used in the last one. And it tells you who made these images. And with this, you can like follow them. And I know on this site, you can pay them if you would like, give them like a little tip. But these are all free photos to use regardless. So I'm just going to download this one and it's going to be the first image I use in my newsletter. So I'm going to click back into command on my newsletter template. So this first image, click the box and it gives me a little pencil and that's what I'm going to click. And then off to the left or the right, everything that I can change is in here and I just need to replace the image. So I'm going to replace. And I may have images already uploaded. So I've done things in the past. You might include like a listing image, or you can add your image you just downloaded. And I can drag and drop mine instead of having to search for it. And then it's going to take a second, and then I can select it at the bottom and replace that image. And so it has restrictions on width and height, but you can adjust these depending on what image you use. I don't think I had to adjust it the last time I was here, but that's okay. So I'm just going to press done now that I have put that image in there. And it did kind of squish it a little bit this time. So until I'm happy with it, I can come back in here. I'm just going to change the width to 700 and press done and see how that looks. Much better. So it did stretch my image out, and so now it's not as blurry. So that's great. And so now I'm just going to go in and start adding in my headlines and some text. So what I did first is I added in just something fun. So that was just like my spring Pinterest board. So my first headline, and this pretty much you're going to follow the same process. Anytime you want to edit something, click it, and then you'll find the little pencil pops up. And so I'm going to press that. And instead of it saying sub-headline copy, we're going to say happy almost springtime or whatever you would like there. And then I'm going to press done. Make sure you always press that done so it's uploads over here. Don't press save and exit before you press done or else it won't save it. I did learn that while I was doing this a little bit. Okay. Next, I'm going to switch out this gibberish block of text. And I'm going to say something along the lines of, let's see. We could say something like, I am so excited that it is almost important. Most of us spend lots of time outdoors. Well, together. whatever it is on your computer. And that way it'll space out your text and not just be like a huge blob. I have created a Pinterest. And if you're not into Pinterest, you don't have to do this either. I know Pinterest, I can get lost in Pinterest for hours. I'm not sure if anybody else can. Together with activities. Let's see, what else did I put in there? I put in some recipes and I put in home maintenance tips. So always put something, so anytime I share a Pinterest board, if it's like springtime or winter, I always throw something in there with like home maintenance tips or real estate tips, something in there, whether it's something that I created or that someone else already had there, just so you can have lots of content in the board as well. And then it's related to what you're sharing and your job as a real estate agent. So always make sure you have those kinds of things. Little line of gibberish text here. I'm not going to replace it. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete that line. And now it only has the text I just put together. Okay. So if you do make a Pinterest board and you want to link it so someone can click through the button and go to that, this is just a button itself. I'm going to click and press the little pencil, change the text here. Let's see. I'm just going to call it Pinterest board, keep it simple. And then it asks me what I want to link to. So if it was a landing page, a tag, or a web address. So my Pinterest board is obviously a web address, and I do have that open as a tab already. So if you're just joining, make sure you have everything you need for your newsletter that you're going to add into it already open. Everything from your vendors, if you do have a Pinterest that you share, that have your website for the stock images, all that stuff. Have it up and ready to go. So this is where I've got my springboard at. So it's even got like books, all kinds of things. So I'm just going to take the link and copy it, pop back to my newsletter page, and put it in the web address box. And you can change the color of these buttons if you wanted it not to be black. If you wanted it to be a different color, you can change it, whatever color you want out of the rainbow. I'm just going to leave it black for time's sake. So that way I hit everything that you guys want to see that I'm adding in, and make sure I press that done button at the top. And now it has changed my little button here. Awesome. Okay, so in my other newsletter, I did include content from a separate newsletter template from Command. And so that is going to require to have a second window of Command open. And I use the tax one because taxes day is coming up. And so most people are going to be prepping this month. So I want to give some tips and tricks around it. So I'm going to go grab one more image out of Unsplash, which is what I use. And I'm just going to put in taxes as the topic. And you get all kinds of images around taxes, whether it's someone working on a computer or just like a flat lay of something. You can do that. Let's see, a bunch of different money. That would be scary if that's where your tax guy works, wouldn't it? I am just going to use, I'm just going to use this flat lay here of this person working on a computer. So I'm going to download that, pop back to my newsletter, click the empty image box and the pencil. And then when this pops up, press replace. It's a lot of repetitive actions, but once you do it more and more, it's going to be so easy. Scroll down, image is there, replace. I'm not going to resize it quite yet. I want to see how it looks first. And it actually fits really nicely because it was already a square image. So I don't need to resize it. The only reason I would resize is if you wanted the image to be cropped, but I would pre-crop it ahead of time to make sure it pulled it in the right way you would want it to. Before I go grab the tax day newsletter text, I am just going to go ahead and change my my headline here. Tax day is approaching. Here are some helpful tips. And done with that. Okay, so I'm going to open a new tab for command. And I'm going to go back into designs. I'm going to give it a second to load. Hopefully it's also nice again. And then I'm going to press the blue plus button and go into email again. And in here, so when the newsletter I'm working on is that newsletter Modern Bee, but the one I'm actually going to come in and click is the Classic Tax Day. And I'm going to go next. And so with this one, it's got, they have a different stock image, but I'm just going to be taking these two text blocks and just transferring them in to the other newsletter. So I just have to click into these and copy and paste. It's already made for me. I don't have to figure it out. Just make sure you read through them to make sure it sounds and is all spelled correctly. I did read through it earlier, and I know that for me, they are spelled properly. So just make sure you check that beforehand too. So I'm just going to come in and copy this first block, click back to my other window and my little gibberish boxes with the little pencils, delete the old text and just copy and paste it in there. And I'm going to press done there. And so this one still has an extra line, but this is where all that other additional tax tips are going to go out of the other newsletter. So now I'm done with that one. I'm going to click all of these. So all of the actual tips are in just one box. So that makes it really easy to copy over. So I'm just going to press that pencil button, highlight everything, copy, and then back to my full newsletter, paste it in here. And with this one, it doesn't automatically number them. But what's nice is you actually have the ability to come in here and choose the little numbers. So I can just click next to each one and it'll automatically know I'm on like 1, 2, and 3. So I've got them numbered. They still have all the same bolding, which is perfect. I don't have to change anything. It's already there. I'm just going to make sure I press done. So it is saved. And so as you save things, you can come up to the top and press this save button. I do that just because I don't want to lose any work. So as you're doing it, make sure you go up there and press save. You can even rename your newsletter up here. I'll do it Spring Newsletter 2, just so I don't confuse them when I go back in later. And then the very last section is where I'm going to have my magazine. So Keller Williams did come up with a quarterly magazine. And so with that, we actually have to customize it within designs ahead of time. So you could do that before you do this or in the middle of making your newsletter. So I would definitely make sure you press save before you get here. And then that way you don't lose any work you've already done on your newsletter. But before I head to the magazine, there is an extra button down here I don't need. So I'm just going to remove it. And then I'm going to go ahead and go back to my other screen. I don't need this newsletter design, so I'm just going to X out of it because I didn't have to do anything. And then I did make my quarterly magazine, but I'm going to show you guys how I put it together because it's very similar to the buyer and listing presentation where you have to add your pages, add your photo, that kind of thing. So again, blue button, and the magazine is actually under the print option. We're not going to use it in print, but you guys are absolutely welcome to. I know I've heard lots of talk of people ordering them to be printed and mailed out, so I don't know if anyone's successfully done it yet. But if that's something you're interested in, let us know if it works. So I'm going to go next. It's going to take a minute to load. Perfect. So in here, this is all of your print options that you have, obviously everything from postcards to business card designs, everything. But for the magazine, it's actually under the lead generation tab, and it's called the personally branded zine. So right now they just have the winter quarter magazine out, but you can use this in lots of different ways. So if you want to do a monthly newsletter versus a quarterly newsletter, this magazine has 3 different articles in it. So you could break this down into 3 separate magazines. Instead of it being just a Q1 total magazine, you can have it be for 3 months all through Q1. And there's different, and all 3 articles are different. So I'm just gonna go ahead and click use it. And it's gonna open up all of my options that I have here. So it starts with the blank piece off to the side, and then on the left, if you're gonna add these pages, you're just gonna be using the little plus button. So I know I need the cover. And this page here, the second one, is just kind of like a note from you, like, welcome to my new magazine. I don't know why it did that. So I'm just gonna add that page. I'm gonna customize it after I add all the pages I want first, but if you're not sure what each page is and looks like, you can add them all and then remove ones you don't like. A year in review, so this is a stats page. So if you wanted to do like your January stats or the February stats that are coming out soon, this is what you can use. And then that's added. And then this is where the articles start. So the first one's about real estate resolutions. So I'm gonna add this article in. And it's just a couple pages long. And here's the last page for that article. So say that you just wanted to turn this into a monthly magazine. That's the first article. You could be done. And you can just check to see if you wanted to do any featured listings, or if you wanted to just make sure you have your numbers and your experience in the magazine, any testimonials, or your advice, and then a download your app page. So if you wanted to break it down, you could do that part, but I'm gonna do it just as a quarterly, so I'm just gonna add all 3 in here. I'm not gonna do a featured listing, but you absolutely can. You know, the KWS is connected in here, so you could quickly replace the image, the information on the house. They make it very, very easy. I'm gonna go ahead and add the second article about home maintenance projects. Got the second page. This one's definitely a different format and shorter. I'm not gonna add the value, the experience on me, only because I don't have all my numbers up right now. So I'm just gonna do a very short, quick example. But this page you could update at any time, obviously, and add it. I'm gonna skip the testimonial page as well. And I'm just gonna go right into the third article, adding it into my magazine. Awesome. And they also have a full page of lots of listings in here. So if you want to spotlight a bunch of listings that are up right now that are like really popular, you can do that. But right now our market is crazy and houses don't stay up very long. So I was like, I'm not going to go through and try to find some or get permission to put them out, and hope this gets out soon enough before everything goes away. I am going to add this Ask an Agent page. It has a prompt question in there about like what would give me value on my house without burning a hole in my wallet. And so I can give an opinion on that. And then the last page, I am going to do the download my app. I'm going to close that side there. And so now in the bottom, if I click pages, it's going to show me everything that I've added so far. And so it still has that blank page. I'm going to go ahead and delete it because I don't need it. Yes, I would like to delete. And then it's got everything I've added from the cover into all the pages. And so to customize it, I would start with page 1, make sure it has all the information that you need. I'm going to go ahead and close the pages back down. And so in the top, it's asking for my logo, my name, my office, all that good stuff. So I'm going to zoom in. I can read it. And I'm going to go ahead and just click this logo here. In another class, we did talk about having your brand assets already uploaded. So if you do need that, I would go check out the branding session we talked about, because that's why I have all my logos in here already. So because I clicked it, it's going to pull up everything I already have, and I can easily replace it just by using this little swirl guy. And it's going to go ahead and replace it. I'll just adjust where it's sitting. And then in the top, Oh, just a second, guys. I think, nope, I think we're good. Okay. So I'm going to just click in here and add my name and information in the top. So first and last name, Brittany. It helps if I know how to spell my own name, right? And then you can throw it in the corner with your office logo. I'm just going to keep it all pretty easy with it being just my office. But if you've got your own branding and your own logos and things like that, definitely feel free to throw them on here along with your DBA and you're following all your marketing guidelines. And if you need that class, that is recorded as well. And if you need that link, we can send it to you guys. But that page is pretty much done. It just has new beginnings, local winter update, and then what the 3 articles are. So give me just a second.
Wait, who are you talking to?
A lot of people.
Hi, Cassandra.
Okay, I gotta step away real quick. I gotta help Mark get into Ignite, so I'll be right back. So Sierra or Robin, Jamie's here too, so I'll be back in just a second.
Thanks, Brittany.
Hello, everyone. I'm gonna press pause on the recording while Brittany is away.
Sorry, everybody.
Ready. Okay, sorry about the brief intermission there. So my first page is done. I'll get you guys small again. And now I'm just gonna click through each page to see what needs to be customized. So in the bottom next page, and it's gonna save it as I go. So in this one, there's lots of customization that you can do. I'm gonna go ahead and zoom in. And I just start changing all of this information. So a note from Brittany. You can put your full name, just your first name, depending on how casual you want to be. Then with the photo, again, it's gonna pull up what I already have in my system, so I can easily just replace it. They added their own personal logo here. So with that, I could either put a brokerage logo or my personal branding one. I am gonna delete it because it makes mine a little too small. And then I'm going to add it. And then you just resize and keep playing with it till you like it. Just gonna leave that right there. And then it's got a bunch of random names under my photo. So you can either fill this in with your name, your title as realtor, whatever you'd like there, or you can remove it. I am just going to put it, think about it. There we go. Slowly but surely, wow. It's freaking out. I'm just gonna put realtor down here. Realtor. And then in the bottom, I'm gonna make sure I read it because there are some spots in here that have like a my and our or your name and your number. So you can see it's talking about Happy New Year. So this came out at the beginning of February. So we are now in our last month of the first quarter. So you could rephrase that if you want. But it says starting with my/our new quarterly magazine. I do want to change that. Make sure it says my new quarterly magazine, talks about what's in here. And then there's another block in the second paragraph with my/our. So this is really giving you the chance to read through this to make sure it is all spelled correctly. You have everything in here that you need. And then in the very last paragraph, there's an I/we need to change. And I hope to hear from you soon. And then it's got your name, your phone number, your email, and your web address in the bottom here. And so we're going to update that. I don't want to delete too much. And so that's why I said at the top, you could keep it casual with it being just your first name. Because like if you've ever seen in normal magazines, it's like a note from the editor and those kinds of things. So it could just be like your name or your brand name or the office, whatever works for you guys. 8325. Get my email in here. This is why I always say keep everything handy. Hopefully you all know your own emails and phone numbers. Make sure it types correctly. And then whatever your website link is. Awesome, let that load. And now everything is filled in and replaced, and it has my ownership statement at the bottom. I'm going to leave it there for marketing purposes and just start clicking through every page to make sure anything that needs to have something changed is changed. On this page, this talks about the yearly stats from 19 to 2020, but we would go 2020 to 2021. But what I did is I took inspiration from where it says a market snapshot. So every month the brokerage does send us the stats for different counties. So what I did is in the original one is I took and made a snapshot for Pierce County, and then I chose a separate county, one that I would like to serve as well. So I chose Pierce and Kitsap on mine, and instead of it being average days on market, I took for the number of active listings, and then I changed the column names around a little bit. So I'm just going to do the first one so you guys can see how I changed it to reflect those monthly stats instead of it being a year. So the top one, I'm just going to use Pierce County Market Snapshot. And then instead of a year in review, since it is March, I would probably wait till the February ones come out, but I just based this off of January since those are the ones I had handy. In review. So now I just got to resize some things, move things around. So I'm going to click and move. And I'm just using my arrows on my keyboard to get so it stays level with each other. Stretch this out. Click my review again and scooch it back over. Okay, so I do have another tab open with the stat graphics we get. So I just checked what we had. And so we've got number of new listings, actives, pendings, solds, and the price. So I just kind of switched things around a little bit on the page. Wrong tab. Here we go. So in this first column, I changed it to 2021. 2021. And then you can call this like percent of change or something like that. I'm just going to call it change. So the number of homes sold. So let me check what the number was. So 1051 was the number sold, and you're just going to update these numbers. So 1051. Average sales price is definitely bigger than that. But the percent of change is what I put on this column. So it was roughly 9%. So 9% up from 2020. And then I just stretch this out to make it look good. There we go. And so I do that for each one. The only one that I changed the actual topic for is this average days on market. That isn't in the stat graphics we get, so I changed this one to active listings instead. Active listings. And so I would just keep taking the numbers and the percentage and change it in each column that way. And then I just repeated that same process in the bottom for a different county. So I took 2 counties in my area that I know that I like to serve and like to spend a lot of time in. So Pierce is where my office is located, so that's my main one. And then I live in Kitsap, so I took Kitsap and just kind of put Kitsap County Market Snapshot and then changed the numbers and the percents and everything on that side as well. But so this wouldn't be a price, it would be a percentage. And then this bottom box would also turn into a percentage versus a number. And we definitely have more than 12 active listings in January. And I'm excited to see what our February numbers look like when those come out. So you guys can use this page however you want. If you did want to pull up the year, you can. I know Northwest MLS has them. So you can find those numbers there as well. But definitely change your stats and to share what kind of information that you guys want to share with your people. I'm not going to finish doing this entire page, so I'm just going to keep clicking through and just look through what we've got. So we've got the first page of an article. So with this one actually does have a spot to put like some vendor information. So I'm going to zoom in, and in the bottom it talks about LED lights, and then in here it says find a wide assortment of LED lights at home improvement store where it is, website URL. So if you're like, I like Home Depot or Lowe's, you could throw them in there. And it's the same on the next page too. It talks about 2 different topics and then where is the best place to find those things. So it's talking about a smart appliance and filters. Those are very good things to remember to replace. And again, a lot of those you can find at like Home Depot, Lowe's, other local vendors, whatever you prefer to fill it in with. So you can highlight people you know. And then on the last page, they talk about highlighting someone who can help seal your sanctuary, because your house is your sanctuary. So weather stripping, those kinds of things. Who do you know, like a handyman? And then, or even your favorite hardware store. And then the last one, a trustworthy plumber. So if you've got a preferred plumber vendor, I would definitely make sure you throw their information in, give them a shout out in your magazine. I don't have that information on hand, but I'm just going to skip it for now. The next page is just the next article. This one doesn't have any customization on it, but again, if it's your first time reading through it, just make sure you read it so it all makes sense. And then it just talks about different kinds of audits and things they could be doing right now to make their home just a check to make sure it's all good. Talks about saying goodbye to the winter blues, things that they could be doing. Again, make sure you read through it. I didn't think there was any vendors on this one, but you could absolutely add in things like your favorite, like hot yoga or something like that. You could spotlight those kind of vendors in here too, like at the bottom of the paragraph. Talks about getting into new hobbies. And then this page, I actually really like this page, the Ask an Agent. It's like your piece of advice. So with this one, it just asks, what home improvements can boost my property value without burning a hole in my wallet? So at this point, what I filled in is I filled in something around, it's almost springtime, and there are plants around here that can live in the winter. So I talked about, you can start thinking about your curb appeal, and you can go to your favorite local vendor. Mine is this one, to pick out some of the plants that can help brighten up your curb appeal, since it is the first thing that buyers see. There are plants out there that are relatively cheap, so it makes it nice and easy to be able to do a little bit of curb appeal right before spring hits and all of our plants start coming back. So you can, again, switch out your photo pretty easily. Makes my face really huge. Add your name. And so change your name again. And then just leave the question as is. This will probably get changed in the next magazine that comes out, which I would expect probably sometime in April, but I haven't heard quite yet of when the next one will come out. And then you just change what your answer would be in this bottom box. The highlight is freaking out. So I would say I would recommend taking a look at your curb appeal, and just keep going from there. And then I would recommend like a local favorite, like garden nursery. That way you can spotlight those guys. You can include their number, their address in here as well, and then save it, and then you would be good there. If you are one of those people that wants to change all of the colors out of everything, just make sure you click on the elements you want to change, and you can change those colors out pretty easily for whatever your branding colors are. And then the very last page is your app. And it just says to add your app URL here. If you don't know where to find it, it is in consumer or in your marketing profile. So you can make sure you have that link copied so you can paste it in here and update it. And then you can make sure you change out the office logo again. Slide that up. And I would just make sure that my app URL gets put in there that I would go and find inside of consumer. And so say I did all of the branding. It is absolutely done. It's beautiful. It's what I want. Next, what I would do is make sure you give the design a title. So this could be, if you're going to do it the monthly version, I would say what month it is. This one, I'm just going to call it winter quarter. And to put it in your newsletter, we're not going to download it. We are going to just press this share button. So with the share, we're not going to share this design, then it's only going to pick that one page. We actually want to choose the option that says the project. And it's going to give you this project link. You're going to highlight it and copy it. And then what I did do with my newsletter is I went back to the first page and I actually just downloaded the picture of the magazine cover. So I'm going to download it, and you can use JPEG or PNG, either one. And it's only going to download that single page. And so once that's done, and I've got my link, I've copied it, it's ready to go. It's preparing it for me. And now it has downloaded that picture. So now I can come back in here and press done, and it's going to save that design. Perfect. And I'm going to pop back to that tab I still have open with my newsletter. And so I've got the image of where I can replace it for my winter quarter cover. Again, little pencil guy. I'm going to replace it, add an image, and I can drag and drop it because I left my downloads bar open. And then it's going to show that image there. So you can, what I did too is you can crop that image down so you don't have to keep resizing the image block. I think what I took out was like my name and the logo at the top and just had it have like new beginnings. But for time's sake, we'll save that. And I'm just going to press done. It replaces it. So that's what I did the first time. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's the wrong size. So that's why I went back in and cropped it out. So you can just open the image you downloaded, crop it, make sure it fits. Or you can, if you wanted to show the entire image box, you can resize your sizing until it makes sense for you. So I would say height, let's go 8. I think there's a limit. Well, yeah, 700, it likes that one. So then it did stretch it out. So you can have the whole cover too. Very, very easy. And so now I just need to check. I do have my link. So before I lose it and I copy and paste anything else, I'm going to go ahead and edit my button so they can check out the website design. So I'm going to go, I'm going to rename this, Read the Magazine. Here. That you copied from your design, and just paste it there. And I'll make sure I press done and save it. And just for the example, I'll show you what it looks like when they click through. So I'm going to paste that link and show you guys. So it does read like a digital magazine, and it gives them the arrows to click through it. They can read it, they can zoom in, that kind of thing. I missed a logo on that page. So always make sure you read through and review everything again before you send it out. But it just reads like a normal magazine, flips through. I know there are free programs out there where it can actually act like a book of pages flipping with like a sound effect and everything. So if that's something you want to do, you can do that too. But just for easiness, I think it's nice just to have that link and they can just click through, read it at their leisure, come back to it. Totally up to what you guys want to do with that. And then lastly, I'm just going to change up some of these headlines and text. I'm going to say a new quarterly magazine. Done. Make sure I change this text. And you can say something along the lines of, I have been working hard to bring you a brand new quarterly magazine. You can talk about like other things that are in there, stats, all that kind of stuff. I'm just going to keep it short and sweet for now. Press done. I will go ahead and just change this font and say, be sure to click the button below to read the new magazine. Helps if I can spell. Perfect, done. So my button's ready. You can change out this as well. If you didn't put anything in here about homes to schedule a tour, you can change it around to say, if you plan to buy or sell a home this year or invest, I'm here to help you with your goals. Done. Super easy there. I don't have to change the image. That's going to automatically pull through. I don't have to come in here and add my name, my license number, none of that. It's going to do it for me. You can click on the download your app button. I would just double check that it is going to link to your app. So if you already have that link copied from the magazine, just make sure you click web address, paste it in there so it actually leads them somewhere and it's not just like a random piece of text that's there that it doesn't take them anywhere. If you have it on your website, you can choose that website link. If it's on a landing page, have it in there. Just make sure the button leads them somewhere. And so once you have it edited, just done. It's not playing nice. It's because I didn't change anything. And then legal, all of this stuff is going to pull through for yourself. So I'm going to make sure I press save. So it has saved my design. And before I do anything else, before I send it out, I'm going to make sure I can preview it and see if it's the way I like it. So I'm not necessarily loving the way the top looks with it just a logo there. It's not giving them anything about who sent this. Obviously they would know if it's from me with an email, but I might want to change that up. The pictures are looking good. The text is looking good. Everything so far looks great besides the top. So I'm going to actually change that and show you guys how I did that. So I'm going to delete this image. And then all these widgets and contents, you actually have a legal header. And it's what I prefer to put at the top. So what it pulls through is it's your name, your photo, and your Market Center logo. That'll pre-populate for you. And so now when I preview, the top of it actually looks a little bit cleaner. It tells them who it's from. It's got my name, my phone number at the top, as well as the bottom of this. So that way it's in there a few times in case they need it. I just prefer that header versus it being just the logo. You can also add in your personal logo in the top too. Just click add the image and they'll put it in there for you. Maybe. I don't think we can edit the header, but you can change that logo out temporarily in your profile and it'll pull your other one, or you could put it in above there and make it really big above your picture if you wanted. So I'm just going to say, I can save it and save and exit, and then I can work on sending it out. Options you can also do is send yourself a test email. I do recommend that so you can see and make sure all the buttons work. It leads to the places you want them to go to. And then you can make any changes and adjustments that you want before you actually send it out. So I'm going to save and exit. And there's two ways you can send this out. So you can send it out through a smart plan, really quick, easy, triggered smart plan with a tag, or through campaigns in the email section. I like to do it through the smart plans really easily because I don't want to just, sometimes campaigns gives me a little trouble, but smart plans I find is the easiest. So what I did is I just created my own smart plan and I'm just going to name it Winter Newsletter 2 since I did a practice one earlier. Apply. And it's just going to give me a blank slate to start with. And all I'm going to do is I'm just sending the email. And you could add other steps, like you could send up a follow-up text like, hey, did you check out my email? What did you think? You could set up a reminder to give your clients a call. But if you just needed to be a quick one-off email very easily through Smart Plans, you can do that. Just do the subject of your email, almost springtime. And then what's nice is we don't have to type it all out. We can actually pull our email design straight from designs. And so I'm going to select it and it's going to bring me to the templates. But then in the top, I want to select my design templates. And so newsletters 2 is the one we just worked on. And it said, please be aware edits made now will change the design in your library. So what it does is it brings the newsletter back up, gives you a last chance to read through it to make sure it all looks good, move things around if you didn't like the spacing on like where the text is sitting on the headlines, that kind of thing. But if you like it and you already know everything's good to go, you press save and exit. And then it just brings you back to your smart plan and it's now in there. So there's 2 ways that you can do this. Once you add this in, make sure you save it. You can just manually put these on to and add your contacts to it by adding people to it in the top, or you can add a trigger event. I like the trigger event because it's a lot easier. So it'll tell you how it's going to be triggered. So it's your contacts and a tag. So I pre-set up a tag and I called it Winter Newsletter 2021. And so anytime I add that tag to somebody, it is going to trigger that this newsletter gets sent. And so it'll remind me that anyone that has the tag right now will not get it. The tag has to be added after you've done the smart plan. So I'm just going to confirm it. And it's going to say, awesome, good to go. Make sure you press save, and then you can back out of your smart plans. And so then when you're ready to send it, you can come into your contacts and say you have hundreds of people in here. You just make sure you can see as many as you possibly can on your contact screen. So I only have myself in here as a test, but if you had like a database of 500, you can show all 500, and then you can select all. And then you get this bulk action option at the top, and you can bulk add a tag. So this is when I would bulk add the winter newsletter, submit, and then now I am going to get that email. I am automatically added to that smart plan. It has triggered it to be added, and the newsletter will be sent out. Very cool that that happens that way. And just to double check that it got added, smart plan went out instantaneously after adding that tag. Does anybody have any questions? I know it was a lot. There are a lot of steps to it, but you get a really cool newsletter out of it and an instant newsletter like an hour later. I timed it, and with almost all the customizations, it took me about 45 minutes. So I thought that was pretty neat that that happened.
Can I ask a quick question?
Absolutely.
I was working on a landing page and was having trouble of it saving in designs. Robin and I were, well, she was helping me too, but
Right.
the same issue. So I don't know if it's just a certain design. I did reach out to Scott Leroy and he suggested to use Firefox. What are you working in? Because I use Chrome and I thought that's what they suggested for command.
Yeah, I'm using Google Chrome as well. And I know that sometimes the landing pages have had a few like bugs and things like that. But what I've learned is that with landing pages, you actually aren't going to design those inside of designs. It's actually going to all be in the consumer side of everything.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe it was the other page because it's like I saved it and then we went back to like retrieve it, and then it just took us back out to like the just in command general, and I'm like, oh my god, so frustrated. But yeah, maybe that's the case because I don't know if I was doing the landing page at that time or because I was also trying to do an agent site page. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with agent site pages, it can be a little different. I know that I start on the consumer side with them, and I find that it's easiest, like if you're going to edit it, have it be like a one and done, like set your time aside to do it instead of trying to go back in and fix it later inside of designs. Only because of how it's been acting up lately.
Yeah. All right. I was just curious if that was a common thing. So maybe obviously it's not just me.
Yeah. And if it keeps giving you trouble, I would report it to support just so that way they know it's a little unstable, and that way they can add that to their list of stabilization things that they need to make sure is focused on.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Of course. Any other questions? We actually almost went the full hour this time. I knew it was a lot of steps to this. So we'll get the recording up soon so you guys can rewatch. And if you have any questions about any newsletter building or anything like that, feel free to reach out to any of us. We are happy to help you guys. And if you need the Tech Thursday channel link, reach out to your ASC and we can get that sent to you guys as well.
I have a question.
Sure.
Can you team up with somebody to work on these? Just your newsletter or the same content, or do you have to be individual?
I think like the design can't be shared from agent to agent really easily right now. I know that if you're on a team, I believe it could be sent out to the whole team database, but individually, that's a little tough. But you can team up with like vendors. Like if you do decide you want to print it and you want to have like a whole page spread on like just them, you can team up with them and they can help maybe cover the cost of it. There's lots of ideas around it, but I don't know. I don't right now think it's possible to team up with like individual agents together to form one newsletter unless you guys start to work out of the same command database. And I don't know if you guys want to share contacts and stuff like that.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Awesome. Any last questions before we head out? Awesome. All right. Well, enjoy the rest of your day, everybody. Hopefully you guys found this valuable. I know that I did, especially with making out a nice, beautiful newsletter to send to my people. But if you have any questions, we're here for you guys.
Thanks so much, Brittany.
Thank you,
Thank
Brittany.
you.
Yeah. Have a great day.
Bye.